Hello, welcome to Play Along. I'm Michael Gould. Welcome to Technique Course, Lesson number 2. Now that we know how to put the hi-hat together, let's talk about getting a great sound. There are 3 points to getting a great sound or adjustments we can make on a hi-hat. The first is the clutch. The second is the tilting adjustment screw for the bottom cymbal. And the third is the spring adjustment knob, located above your foot. We already know how to put the clutch assembly together, so let's talk about adjusting the 2 nuts located on top of the clutch. Make sure that the nut on the bottom of the cymbal is tight. Now we can loosen or tighten these 2 nuts in order to make the cymbal vibrate more or less when you play. So you're going to have to experiment with where you like it and what kind of music you're playing in order to get a great sound. Remember, once you have it tight enough, drop it down and lock down the top nut over the bottom one. Now that you have the clutch adjusted just the way you like it, let's push down the pedal and tighten the clutch so the top cymbal comes off the bottom. You can change the height of the top cymbal by depressing the pedal a little further. Let's try that. I push it down and I tighten it. Now we have more distance between the top and bottom cymbal. Remember, if the top cymbal is too high, it's going to be very difficult for you to depress the pedal. Although this is your preference, I like to keep the cymbals about 2 to 3 inches apart. Let's move on to the tilting adjust screw found underneath the bottom cymbal of the hi-hat. I like to keep the adjustment screw on the right side of the hi-hat so that when I'm playing, if I need to adjust the hi-hat, I can just simply grab the assembly and adjust it with my left hand, like so. The tilting adjust screw moves against the metal plate, which has a felt washer on top of it on the bottom cymbal. If we move the screw up and down, you'll see the bottom cymbal tilt, like so. I would suggest putting the screw all the way flat, like this, pushing down on the hi-hat, and then listen as the sound changes. If you move the tilting screw too much, the top cymbal starts hitting the bottom cymbal. It sounds like this. So the bottom plate is tilted so much that it never leaves the top plate. So this might be too far. I would suggest that you experiment on your own and try to find a great sound. The spring adjustment mechanism for the hi-hat changes the action of the hi-hat. It changes how fast the top plate comes off the bottom plate and the general feeling of the pedal. I would suggest that you experiment with your hi-hat to change the action. If your hi-hat has a spring adjustment mechanism, I would suggest that you go all the way to the highest point or the hardest the spring tension can go, and then play it. Then try backing it off little by little. Play it again. Keep backing off the spring adjustment until you find the perfect place for you. Now that we've adjusted our hi-hat with the clutch, the tilting mechanism, and the spring adjustment assembly, let's talk about playing the hi-hat just on its own. I like to keep the ball of my foot on the hi-hat pedal and let it ride along as I open it up, like this. If I need a more articulate sound, I'll let the ball of my foot ride along with the pedal and lift my leg for extra weight, like so. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. If I need to open the hi-hat while I'm actually playing it with my right hand, it sounds like this. 3 and 4 and. So you'll notice that the hi-hat is opening, but my foot is barely moving to let the 2 plates sizzle together. We want to try to avoid opening it too much because then we lose articulation. sounds like this. Let's talk about the bass drum and the bass drum pedal. I have a lot of students asking me, do you put your heel up? Do you put your heel down? Do you keep the bass drum beater in the head? Do you keep it off the head? Where do you place your foot on the pedal? Let's talk about all these things and more. All right, let's talk about where we put our foot on the pedal and if we keep our heel up or down. Just like the pivot point on a drumstick, where you place the foot on the pedal is important for the action comes into the head and off of the head. If you're just starting playing drum set, I would suggest that you keep the heel down on the pedal and the bass drum beater off the head. So when you hit the bass drum, it looks like this. If you want to get more volume out of the bass drum, let's say you're playing in a rock band, you can always lift the heel off the pedal of the bass drum and keep the bass drum beater into the head. I would suggest experimenting a little bit with where you place your foot on the bass drum beater. For example, first try putting it all the way forward as far as you can go. If you have giant feet like mine, it might be a little bit of a problem, but give it a whirl. Let's play. Not so easy. Let's slowly back our foot down the pedal and try playing here. Backing even more off the pedal, let's see what happens when we move it down a little bit more. You'll notice as you move your foot down the pedal, the action changes. It might become easier or harder to play. This is where you should experiment, where you place your foot on the pedal. I suggest trying going all the way up the pedal and all the way down and see what happens. So as you play, you move down a little further and a little further. Once you've found the perfect place to play, you might want to try putting a piece of tape on the pedal to remind yourself where you keep your foot. This is a helpful visual ID to keep consistency in your playing. Have fun. Coordination exercises. Coordination is playing 2 or more rhythms at the same time using your hands and feet. Let's go. Coordination exercise number 1. We're going to play eighth notes with our hands using a double stroke roll or right, right, left, left, right, right, left, left, so on. Our feet are going to play the quarter note pulse, the bass drum on 1 and 3, the hi-hat on 2 and 4. Let's play our hands first. Right, right, left, left, here we go, and. Let's play our feet next. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's put it together. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Here's a variation of the first coordination exercise. Instead of putting the bass drum on 1 and 3, we'll switch it to the hi-hat on beats 1 and 3. Let's play the whole thing together. 1, 2, 3, 4. Here's another variation of the coordination exercise. This time we're going to put our right hand and our right foot together, our left hand and our left foot together, playing eighth notes. I'm going to show you how to play the first 2 eighth notes, the first beat and the and of 1. So your right foot and your right hand go together, and then it's followed by your left foot and your left hand playing eighth notes. So let's just try to play our feet first. 1 and 2 and 3 and